And, we keep saying welcome back, but
we're assuming
that assumes that people are already watching it. So I think we should just say welcome
There you go.
to the official Canyon Chasers podcast, The Breaking Zone. You may notice if you are coming back, things look a little different because we have a super special guest. I'm really excited. We have Danielle from Alpinestars, who drove all night last night to come hang out with us in the hallowed halls of Canyon Chasers corporate headquarters. Danielle, introduce yourself.
Thank you. Yeah, thanks for having me. It's great to be up here. My name's Danielle. I'm the Altera Communications Manager for Alpinestars, which is the adventure touring category of the brand. We were down at the CES convention, which is a consumer electronics show. So very tech industry oriented, but we were out there showing off our Tech Air technology to more of a mainstream kind of crowd versus just going to all the motorcycle specific kind of expos and shows like that, which we're still at, of course. But that's where I came from. So I was out in Vegas, was talking about Tech Air, and decided to come up and talk the brand with you guys too. So it's nice to be back with some motorcycle friends here for sure.
You don't have to talk about AI while you're here with us today.
Oh my goodness, it's insane. So AI developed? No, AI did not develop this. We've been developing this for 25 years the hard way. So
no kidding. So before we start, we got a lot of questions about gear. I'm a gear nerd. Gear is such an important part of the whole riding experience. I think we should get to know you a little bit. Like, you're young, you're female, you're a woman, which is a little unique for the industry. How did you get into motorcycling?
Yeah, so my dad was a desert racer, so I grew up on motorcycles. I kind of always had this joke that I was on a PW50 before I was on a bicycle, right? It had the training wheels and everything out in the desert, kind of riding around. So grew up with riding motorcycles out in the desert. Absolutely loved it. Had my time, racing as well, and really enjoyed it. Had a really great time. Falling in love with the community. The motorcycle community was really a blessing growing up too. But yeah, so my dad got me into it. And growing up, I was always a kid kind of bugging my dad to go out and ride and do that. So absolutely loved it. Got into the racing, and then went to school, got my degree in marketing. And once I graduated there, was very determined, I want to work in the industry. I love motorcycles. I can't imagine a day of, not waking up and wanting to talk about them. So I got my first job in the industry at San Diego BMW Motorcycles, doing marketing for them. And absolutely loved it. It involved a lot of riding, and that was also my introduction and transition from the off-road racing scene into adventure bikes with the GSs, and then sport racing and all of that too. So BMW being very, very diverse, it allowed me to kind of spread my wings and see all the different sides of motorcycling. So absolutely loved it. Did that for a number of years, and then had the opportunity to interview with Alpinestars, and I actually started out as the event coordinator. So I was managing all the activations, going to the Supercross races, talking about the product, going across the world and doing cross country and doing all that. So it was a lot of fun. But I only did the events for about 6 months before they saw my love and passion for racing, and then brought me into the racing side of the business. So going to Supercross again, but on a different side, working with the athletes, Moto America, American Flat Track. And the really cool part about being in that position was actually seeing a lot of the product development side of it as well. One thing that I don't think a lot of people know about Alpinestars is when we're introducing a new product, we're testing it with, the top guys, especially with motocross and racing. Our athletes are typically wearing the product before anyone else, giving us their feedback so that we can bring it to market as protective as possible and as comfortable in what the riders really want. And that's something that I think is really unique to Alpinestars too. One, we have the opportunities to do that, working with some of the best athletes in the world, and then getting their input on how we can make things better and more effective. So being involved in that was really, really cool. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of learning, and really, really great too to work with for a brand that genuinely loves the sport. We're motorcyclists. All my colleagues are motorcyclists. The owner of the company tests the product himself as well. absolutely loves racing. Is probably at a race almost every weekend, if not more than one race in a weekend. The passion behind it is truly inspirational and aligned with me, myself. So it's been a really great experience, really great journey. And then from the racing side of things, now I am working on the media communication side of things, specifically with the adventure segment.
Now, you and I have a kind of a weird connection.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you haven't seen it yet, we've talked about it before. But BDR, which is the what does it stand for? BDR, the
Backcountry Discovery
Backcountry Discovery Route. Yeah. You rode an Aprilia Touareg on the BDR route on the Lost Coast. Mm-hmm. And I think right as soon as you finished that ride, I flew into California and I picked up your Touareg Rally and I rode it to Moab. So we have a motorcycle buddy in common.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, huh?
Yeah. That bike is super cool.
Yeah,
I was really impressed with it.
Yeah, it's great. It's impressive how far motorcycles have come and how capable they are. They might look big and scary, but once I got on that Touareg and started riding, it felt like a dirt bike. So it's really impressive.
A question for you. You're a desert racer, right? I'm more of a road racer, sport bike guy. I found the Touareg incredibly easy to ride off-road. As a desert racer, what did you think about the Touareg to ride off-road?
Extremely capable. I mean, it was almost, you had to remind yourself, one, you're on a BDR, and I love the company. I love what they stand for, and it's ride right, ride respectful, ride within your limits. Great values to have. But it was a few times where you're tempted to just, give it a little more throttle and see how you could throw that thing around. But no, the bike was amazing. It was a lot of fun to ride. You kind of forget you're on a big adventure bike when you are tempted to just kind of lay it into a corner and see what it could really do. But it was a lot of fun. I'm really, really happy to have had that opportunity.
So one thing about that video, if you haven't watched it yet, you should go watch it. Let's dive into gear with that, because the three of you were wearing really nice looking women's gear and I'm sure that's a part of your thing. So one of my complaints about a lot of the gear and a lot of the apparel is I think it's really, really ugly. And one thing that's really stood out with me with Alpinestars is it's really classy looking. So you guys, you're all wearing the same jacket, but they were different colors. Like it was, talk about the gear you're wearing in that video.
Yeah, so the women's specific gear is called Stella. That's how it's kind of branded, is the Stella's line is the women's gear. But the really cool thing specifically with the Alpinestars women's line is it has the same technology and protection as the men's. Like, it's not watered down or anything like that. It's the exact same, level of protection offered to the men as the women. And yeah, I do agree. It looked pretty good, right? But two of us were in the new Altera branded Andes V4. So that's a jacket that has been loved for many, many years. And we're continuing to improve it and, lighter, more comfortable, more breathable with the new dry star membrane, also waterproof. But then you still have all the vents and zippers when it does get warm, because the Lost Coast was really unique too. And something maybe unique to not just California, but is that in the morning it could be really cold and quite wet. You get that foggy kind of, mist rolling in that you're going through where it almost feels like a light rain. But then by the afternoon when you get outside the canopies, you're right in the direct, sunlight, and it gets pretty warm. So having the jacket and the materials and everything that we were wearing have that diversity of you're protected from the cold and wet in the morning, but then you can also have the vents and everything to open up when it does get warm out there to still have all that ventilation and be comfortable. So it was the Stella line of the Andes V4, and then Jocelyn was actually wearing the Bogota Pro, which is another very loved piece. Has a little bit bigger venting panels, and it's a multi-layer system, so it has a removable thermal, removable dry star, actual rain layer you could put over it. So a lot of versatility, but still really good looking and still has the same level of technology and protection as the men's gear.
So I do a lot of touring. I always joke, like when I'm on the California coast, that it's hot and cold at the same time. How did they do that? But you mentioned you're talking about your, let's call it your waterproofing membrane. Why don't we talk about that? Because everybody usually jumps straight to Gore-Tex. I have opinions on Gore-Tex. I'm curious, what's your approach on the whole waterproofing with gear? Because I think when we're talking about adventure gear and traveling, waterproofing is a big part of the equation.
Yeah, and I think it's important to understand, too, that there's different ratings of waterproofing. There's different levels of effectiveness in it. So anyone that goes out and calls something waterproof, what they're doing and what they're saying is they're referencing this water column test. And there's different levels of waterproofness and breathability is what they're measuring. So what keeps the water out and what still allows, the vapors to escape. So as we're riding, we're heating up, we're sweating. You don't want all that kind of locked in either too. So you're not letting water in with the waterproof. And then the breathability is you're still able to kind of express that humidity. So anyone that comes out and slaps a waterproof label on there, it's a 5K. Now Gore-Tex, which is the ultimate standard, right, that we've come to believe is the most waterproof, the highest level, they have a 20K rating. Now, DryStar.
What is that? So what is 5K versus 20K? Which one's more waterproof?
The 20K.
20K. So what is that measuring?
So what it is, the water column test is, and we might be totally going down a tangent here.
No, it's cool. This is what we do.
Yeah. So the water column test, it's like a 1 square centimeter of, they put a tube on top of the material and they fill it with water. And they see how high they can get that water until it starts leaking through.
Interesting.
So you say 5K, it only took, up to the smallest before the water started falling through. 10K, the water had to be up a little bit higher and before it started coming through. 15, 20. So the higher the rating, the higher the material is able to stop the water from passing through it. And it's again, so there's a whole diagram. It's on Gore-Tex's website. It's on our website of the bead of water being not able to come through, but then the breathability aspect of it is vapors are a smaller size, right? So it's still able to escape, and it's really interesting. It's really cool. You can go on our website and kind of see a diagram of it. But so Gore-Tex being what we've come to believe the highest standard of waterproofing, they have a 20, and some of it's different, but in general, it's a 20K. So 20K, 20 waterproof, 20 breathability.
There's no stretch to them typically.
Exactly. So what we were able to develop with DryStar is still making it comfortable. Our materials still have the 15-15 waterproofing.
So what is your rating is what?
DryStar is 15-15.
15-15. So it's just barely below that 20-20.
Yeah.
Standard.
So you're still keeping the majority of the water out. You still have that comfort of the breathability. But the main thing too, the main difference, the main advantage with the DryStar is it's still a comfortable jacket. It's still a stretchable jacket. We still have 4-way stretch in our materials too.
Now, my understanding too is with Gore-Tex, you have to pay a royalty to Gore-Tex. So a lot of people shopping, the better value often is to not get the Gore-Tex version, get the DryStar version.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be a price point difference between something Gore-Tex. So it's more available to the consumer as well.
And so Alpinestars, you have your own version, but you also do have Gore-Tex garments as well.
We do, yeah. We still offer the Gore-Tex capabilities and materials in there too. And that's, of course, going to be for the guy that wants to go out and be prepared for extreme conditions, for sure. Yeah.
Right.
Well, or if you live in the Pacific Northwest and your ride plans to get rained.
We live in Scotland.
Yeah. I mean, most of us going out, we plan for the weather, but we're not seeking out the weather, right? I mean, some of us are though, and my hat's off to you for sure.
Right, it's not me.
Yeah. And typically when I would ride off-road riding, I would actually want the lightest weight gear I could, but then I will bring a jacket I could throw on over the top of it if I have to.
And that's also something that we've incorporated into our offering. It's all about how you want to build your system, right? When you go out, you got to kind of think of your body as an ecosystem and how you want it to be able to function and what kind of environment you're going into and how you need it to function kind of thing. So it's all about building what's going to be protective, first of all, and comfortable. So we do offer different, we have pieces that the layers are all in one piece, or there's also jackets that you can remove the thermal liner, you can remove the waterproof liner and just wear the jacket and then put them on as you need them. So it's really diverse, of course, and really all about your preference as a rider.
Well, let me ask you this, because that brings up an interesting question. What are some of the mistakes you see people making when shopping for gear? Are they looking for some of the wrong things? They they choose the size wrong? Like, what are some advice you give to people shopping to help them get something that's going to work better for them?
Well, first, I'm glad they're shopping for gear. That means they're going to go out and ride, so that's awesome. But first of all, you want to make sure that it fits you properly, right? You don't want to have something that's going to be, you don't want to be fighting your gear while you're riding. You don't want to even be thinking about your gear that you're riding, that it's working that well for you. So buy something that fits for sure. Understand what conditions that you're riding in. Whether it's hot, you definitely want to prioritize ventilation without sacrificing safety of it. And it's really cool how advanced the technology has become in the materials and gear that you're able to find those solutions for sure.
The way things are going now, it's harder to find gear that works when it's super hot than when it's super cold. Like, it's easier to layer up. It's easier to, like, you can put leather on or some of these less or more wind resistant materials. Mm-hmm. But what about hot weather? Because that seems like the bigger struggle.
Yeah, Alpinestars specifically, we offer full mesh jackets, even for like the contemporary rider, the urban rider, the everyday kind of street commuter. We have materials out there now where there's nothing stopping the air to pass through. Right, so full measure, like our Troop Air jacket is a mesh material. And then also another thing to point out too is the armor that's included in it. Not only have we developed our own waterproofing membrane and technology, we've also developed our own armor called the Nucleon Plasma, which is really, really cool because you still have a high level of impact safety rating, and it's still that flexible, kind of molds to your body so it's comfortable, but also has some ventilation coming through to it without sacrificing that safety. So that's something that's going to set it apart from other things out there, is that once you can have a full mesh jacket, but if you have armor in it and everything, and then all the air passing through stops at the armor, how much ventilation do you really have? So the Nucleon Plasma is something that's really cool and really unique to the market. That's kind of sets it apart, that it still has the ventilation woven into it, so it's still able to pass some air, again, without sacrificing the impact safety ratings.
And it's really thin too, right? Like versus like the old, like most people are probably familiar with D3O, which is pretty thick. It's that non-Newtonian, it's gooey until you hit it hard. I'm guessing it's similar to that,
It's
right?
similar, yeah.
But your stuff is really, really thin, and it still provides like a nice level of protection.
Absolutely. Yep. And there's different levels of it that we offer, the CE level 1, level 2. So again, it's all about being comfortable so that you can go out and enjoy your ride, but still being protective if you need it. So that's another cool advancement that we've come to. And another unique thing with Alpinestars, and having been in the company a number of years now, and being able to go over to the R&D departments and see it, is we're testing all of these things in-house as well. A lot of companies have to send it out for testing, and you still do for certification, of course, but we're able to really put our product and materials through extreme conditions to fine-tune how we can make it better and better in a more efficient way too.
So let's talk a little bit about the CE ratings, right? Because right now we're seeing everywhere it's AA, it's AAA. Could you maybe explain that and maybe give some advice on what riders should be looking for in that rating? Like, does everybody need AAA? Is AA good enough? Or what are your thoughts on that?
It comes down to what kind of riding you're doing, again. And of course, everybody crashes the same. If you're crashing, and it's going to be an impact, and you're going to have some abrasion going on. So the CE rating is really important to be sure that what garments you're wearing does have the classification so that it can hold up in those conditions. And it's going to, again, come down to preference. And it's cool to be able to develop products that can have those, the highest level of protection without sacrificing being comfortable.
With the different levels, is the way you guys design the garment is, okay, we'll make sure CE2 is on the elbow, but CE1 over here is okay. Is that typically how it's thought about?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's more obvious areas that are going to come in contact with those abrasive conditions. We actually developed a material called super fabric on those high abrasion areas, so across the shoulder, on the elbows, like you said. When you do, typically you have a high side, those are the first pieces to come in contact with the ground or whatever it is. So fine-tuning that those areas, those high impact areas with more added protection absolutely is an advantage without having to completely make the entire garment like that. But yeah, that super fabric is really interesting. It's kind of like those small little dots that you see on top there. And that's all, again, just to better protect you from between you and the ground.
It's like an abrasion thing, right?
Yeah, so it's not something that you've seen before, but it's been proven to be the most effective when it comes to the abrasion resistance.
So that's something that you basically would put in the areas where you expect the body to touch the asphalt or touch the ground. So then it's able to deal with the sliding, the abrasion part of it.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess that it's always kind of a balance though, because in theory, you want your whole body head to toe covered in armor, but you have to be realistic about comfort, the size and bulkiness of the material too. So,
Well, and you bring up an interesting point too, like the whole sliding versus hitting the ground, right? Like a lot of people get really caught up in the sliding, right? It's why leather deals with abrasion quite well. It's why like MotoGP guys are like, but notice where the leather is and where the leather isn't. But leather is probably, it's a finite material, right? There is an ethical concern sometimes with leather. There's people who don't want to wear leather. And it's nice to see other technologies that provide that same level of abrasion protection. But I've always been more concerned about the hitting the ground. It's the impact, right? I don't often, even us teaching out at the racetrack, we don't often see people skittering down the track, right? They usually fall off, hit the ground, and roll, right? So it's the impact, right?
Absolutely. And that's where the Tech Air technology comes into play in our airbag systems. You're exactly right. It's that initial impact that does the most damage. And that's why we've designed our Tech Air airbags to be able to detect when you're about to have that crash, so it deploys before you have that initial impact.
All right, how does it do it?
Yeah, it's a great question.
How does it know I'm crashing?
Yeah, so it's a completely autonomous system. So it's self-efficient. There's nothing external telling it what's going on. And how that works is there's a series of triaxial sensors built into it. So gyroscopes, accelerometers, all measuring side to side, front to back, up and
Like
down.
the little thing in my phone, like that my phone knows I'm tipping it.
there you go.
Kind of like
Right,
that?
yeah. So kind of the same idea, right? And it's the gyroscopes and accelerometers that are sensing that, and it's reporting back to the ECU, the little computer. It's about the size of a Tic Tac box.
Are you serious? That's
Yeah.
how big it is?
Yep, it's technology's come a long way. Yeah. So the sensors are reporting back to the ECU on a millisecond level. So it's constantly analyzing how you're moving, what's going on, so that it can effectively detect the moment something's going wrong, you're about to have a crash, so it will deploy before you have the initial impact. And that's where, the magic happens, really. And that's the big advantage of Alpinestars and all of the R&D. And I mean, there's tens of millions of hours and miles of data logged of what a normal riding condition looks like versus a crash. It's, again, a unique opportunity that Alpinestars has taken advantage of, working with the top athletes. We've had sensors on MotoGP racers as back as 2001 is when we started working on this. So it's over 25 years of collecting data, analyzing the data, and fine-tuning the algorithm to understand when you're about to have a crash, so it does deploy before you have that initial impact. And also, when the airbag goes off, it's reducing 95% of the energy transferred in a crash. So highly effective, highly protective. It's the most effective form of protection on impact that there is. And that's where the magic is. That's where the effectiveness comes. And so it's been really great to continue to develop that as well. No, that algorithm is what we've been working on for over 25 years. So again, lots and lots of time developing it, and we're still continuing to develop it. We're always collecting more and more data between racers and everyday riders as well.
So we're big believers in racing because of that, because of it's like the perfect laboratory for a highly dynamic environment, right?
It's a controlled environment, yeah. You can,
as much as it can
yeah,
be, right?
You can videotape it.
The hard part about motorcycling is it's not big enough to really warrant a lot of the big studies, right? You don't get like a cancer study. Those things cost millions and millions of dollars. Nobody's willing to invest that. So our laboratory is the racetrack. And you guys, if I'm not mistaken, you were the first to start deploying airbag technology in MotoGP. Is that?
Yeah, back to 2001. I think they started really wearing it. The algorithm became effective to be, putting them on the bodies and testing in 2006. And then it's been mandatory for racers to wear airbags since 2017 in MotoGP. And now, actually, I think this is going to be the first year where any FIM sanctioned motorcycle race is going to be mandatory to wear an airbag. So it's become efficient enough to warrant that kind of safety regard in racing, but then also for the everyday person. So we've been able to log not just the racing, but also everyday commuting on the street, off-road racers. We've had these on our Dakar rally racers, of course, and we're collecting data from them to be able to tell the difference between a crash when you're off-road, because it looks a little different when you're riding down, commuting on the street versus riding down a dirt road, even doing hard enduro. So we've been able to fine-tune the algorithm to detect that specific style of riding as well.
I think that's interesting because as you were talking about the racing, like I wear an airbag suit for racing. I've been around them for quite a while. I wondered how does it look with the algorithm basically when you say, hey, on a road race, we've got all this data. We know this is what a high side looks like, or this is what a crash looks like on the data. But that's going to be way different than off-roading, I would assume, right? Because I'm just thinking of the off-roading I've done, which is not Dakar, but sometimes just riding down the road.
It's just bumpy. Like that kind of bump on the street could be seen as a crash.
Yeah.
But dirt biking is just dirt biking.
Yeah. Right. And that's why we've taken the time and have collected all the data to analyze it, to be able to tell the difference. Yeah. And that's why too now there's different ride modes offered and built into different airbags. Like the Take Air 5 Plasma has 3 different ride modes in it. It's got street, race, and off-road. So that's great for your dual sport guy who's riding down the street. You can have it in street mode. As soon as you get into the dirt, push the button, switch it over to the off-road mode. And it's going to be able to better understand what's happening, what you're doing, to again be able to pinpoint the moment something's gone wrong and it needs to deploy. And it's cool. We've actually had a lot of influencers get their hands on the airbags and try to trick the system so that they can see a deployment in real time and get it on camera. And they're doing silly things, trying to tip over. One of them's Adam Riemann, who we partner with, but we didn't ask him to do any of this. He just got the airbag and was like, I want to, get it on film and try to make it go off. And he couldn't trick it. It knew that it wasn't a real life crash scenario until he actually made a mistake. He was in the air and something went wrong and he had to push off the bike and it detected that exact moment and deployed.
No kidding.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really impressive. And again, it all comes down to our engineers analyzing the amount of data that we have and being able to fine tune it to know the difference.
So the newest one, the Tech Air 5, is that what you called it?
So Tech Air 5 Plasma. And
Plasma is an important distinction?
Yeah, because plasma is the passive back protector in it. So I mentioned the Nucleon Plasma.
Wow.
Yeah, so it also has a passive protection in it too. And that's if you forgot to charge it, say the battery dies, you still have a proper back protection in it too.
And you mentioned the idea that you can switch to modes. So the idea with that one, which is unique, is I buy the vest and then I can wear it in kind of whatever arena I'm in. If I'm off-road, would somebody wear that under a suit as well?
Yeah, so it's designed to be worn under any motorcycle garment, any motorcycle jacket, right? Because that's going to be your abrasion resistance too when you do need it. But it's all we say is that wear it under a jacket, and you want it to be a garment that's going to be able to accept the deployment, of course. So you'll see a lot of the Alpinestars gear has a distinction on it that says Tech Air compatible. Yep. All of our garments are actually Tech Air compatible. But what that's meaning is that it's able to accept a deployment of the airbag should you need it. So if you're wearing a jacket that's not an Alpinestars jacket, or it's you're not sure, just make sure that you have enough room in the garment. And we say about 1.5 inches to 2 inches to be able to accept it so that it's not restricting the airbag.
So if I normally wear a small, we'll say, Would I just buy a medium instead? Is that typically how you would size up?
Well, again, it comes down to the materials of the jacket, right? So if it's a 4-way stretch or something that's able to expand, maybe not. But yeah, it'll take some. Definitely go and try it on, and that's a cool thing too. If you're interested in this technology and you want to put your hands on it, we do have a button on our website under each product that says "Find Near Me," and that's actually linked to every dealer that has them in stock, and it'll show you which dealerships near you have it available, and you can go and try them on. But yeah, if you wear a small, I would start with the small and put it on and see, make sure you're comfortable, make sure it's protective in all the right ways, and then make sure it's just able to, if it's not branded a Tech Air compatible, that it does have that extra movement in there.
With the deployment, so we did a conversation a little while ago about talking about airbags, with just our own experience basically. And I've heard plenty of people talk about they're nervous or fearful of airbags because I think basically what you're getting at is the garment needs to be designed to allow the airbag to deploy safely and not create, too much pressure on the body. I've heard from other racers and from other people, they don't like the idea of the airbag because of the extra pressure it creates. And I've had crashes. I've had 2 crashes with an airbag now. And when it does deploy and it's on your suit and it's a suit that's built for it, it is a bunch of pressure on your body, right? You feel this kind of like big bear hug that won't let go. But can you talk a little bit about, I think the concern is, hey, it's so tight, it puts so much pressure on the joints and the collarbones and things like that, that maybe it's increasing the risk of an injury versus preventing it?
So the impressive thing about the airbags is that they're actually absorbing the impact. So our airbags specifically have proven to absorb 95% of the energy transferred on an impact, which is incredibly impressive. Where you're talking, a lot of passive protection to equate that. So that's going to be the difference there, is that it may feel that way, but when you have that hard crash, when you have that hard impact, the airbag is actually absorbing the energy. And again, that's 95% of that energy absorbed. So transferring the energy transferred through it is significantly reduced, even though to you it might feel like it's more hard.
And when they do deploy, basically they're the way it's engineered, they stay inflated for a while, right? I know it takes a few seconds before they start to deflate and come back down.
Once it reaches its capacity, it'll automatically start to deflate, and it'll actually be completely deflated within 45 seconds. Because when we crash, it happens on a millisecond level, right? Crashes only last, typically, I think the statistics was a typical crash lasts about 800 milliseconds. So it's very, very fast, right? So that's why it is designed to actually automatically start deflating after it's reached its max capacity. So it's reached its capacity, you've had the impact, it's done its job, and now it's going to start to deflate so that you can continue on your way.
With these systems like the Air 5 Plasma that we're talking about, are there different systems for different use cases, or is it sort of like we've dialed it in, this is what an airbag system should look like, and this is the version going forward across the gamut?
Yeah, no. And again, it comes down to making it specific to the style of riding you're doing so that it performs better, so it better understands. And that's the algorithm level. But we also have more of a tangible level of making it specific for something like road racing versus commuting on the street versus riding off-road. We have many different systems now. So like the Tech Air off-road that you see hanging behind me, that's what the Dakar Rally racers are wearing, but that's designed specifically more for the off-road rider, right? It's got more of the passive protection, the chest, the back, the shoulders, the elbow, as well as the airbag incorporated into it. And that one's, the various algorithms included in that one is street. So if you are doing dual sport, you still have the street mode, but then there's 2 different variations of an off-road mode. There's rally, which is going to be more of the faster pace kind of gravel road scenario. And then there's the enduro mode, which is going to be more of the slower pace, more technical. And it's all different because it's different how you're moving on the bike. So it's understanding the conditions it's in to better be more effective in deploying versus not needing to deploy. So, and then as far as like the road racing that you guys really like, we have the Tech Air, the A10, which actually has airbag going all the way down the sides of your legs. So you get the hip protection and the femur protection as well. Yeah.
I was just going to ask about legs because hips are a big issue. That's a big concern.
Yeah, so the Tech Air 10 is available to the market, and that's the one that's going to be the most similar to like what the MotoGP, Moto America racers are wearing, and that's that added bladder protection too.
I love that the technology that you guys, like the car guys are wearing the thing behind you, that I can go buy the same thing that the Dakar guys are wearing. That's super exciting to me. But I'm sure we have to be at least a cycle behind what you're testing on the racers, right? Or no? Like, how close are we to what they're wearing?
You know, as soon as we find something new or can make an improvement, we make it available to the consumer. We're always looking to improve, of course, but then we also make it accessible to the everyday rider. So when you buy an airbag, and a new algorithm comes out, say we made an update to the algorithm, you can download it through the app. You connect the app to the system through Bluetooth, and you can update the software in lifetime. So, of course, we're testing and we are always looking to improve. But once it's ready and it's made available to the end user.
So we got a question about this, and this really ties into that. Is like, what's the shelf life? If I buy an airbag system now, and in 5 years, like, is it like my iPhone that I have to replace it every 2 years because the hardware is no longer compatible with the new firmware update?
Yeah, no, actually, so we first introduced the airbags to the market in 2015, and those units are still being used today. We're still updating the algorithms on those. We're still servicing them for the consumer. So, as far as shelf life, I can say 10 years, but that's because it's been on the market for 10 years,
right.
You know? And so we don't make anything obsolete. We continue to make those updates available to the end user.
What about batteries? Like, batteries don't last forever.
No, they don't. It's a lithium battery. It's rechargeable, of course, but it is a lithium battery, and lithium batteries, they like to be... So you can extend the life of a battery depending on how you care for it, right? So they like to kind of be between that 80 and 20%. They don't like being fully charged or fully dead. So you can extend the life of your battery, but we do warranty our tech airbags as well. So if it falls within warranty and you do have a problem with the battery, we will replace it for you. And if it's outside of warranty, it's a $50 charge to replace the battery.
Oh, it's only $50 for a new battery.
So speaking of like the ownership of these things, I've had airbags deployed twice. Every time I've had it deploy, I've had to send it off to go get it inspected, but then also recharged and I don't know if it's basically ready so it can be used again.
Yeah.
How does that work with the Alpinestars kit?
So our units are actually self-serviceable, meaning you can replace the gas canister yourself. It's very easy to do. You open up the back protector, specifically on a Tech Air 5 Plasma. You unscrew the cartridge, screw in the new cartridge, put the back plate back on, and you can continue on your way. You're able to replace it yourself, and you can reuse it. We do say, though, once a bladder has undergone 6 deployments, then you're going to want to send it in to one of our service centers that are located all over across the world or to our headquarters. And what we'll do is we'll replace the bladder entirely for you. Yep. But you can also test the integrity of the bladder yourself. If that is a concern, we have a valve that comes with it that you hook up to a bicycle pump. You pump it up to a certain PSI. Okay. Yeah, it's a whole step-by-step process broken down in the owner's manual. So if you're concerned about the integrity of the bladder, you can test it yourself. But yeah, once the bladder's undergone 6 deployments, then we'd like you to send it in. We replace the bladder, but then you can continue to swap out those canisters if you do have another deployment and continue to use it.
Within the space of airbag systems, what I've thought is unique about the Alpinestars stuff is the airbag itself comes in and out of the garment. Like, it's not built into the suit per se.
Depending on which system you're using, yeah.
But the airbag system that I have a Dainese airbag system. That's what I've been using. Every time I've deployed it, I can't service it myself. I've had to send it off. And I want to say I'm paying like $400 plus shipping.
Are you really?
Yeah, it's not cheap. But I mean, I think they're inspecting it too. I'm not saying that they're ripping me off. It's just I can't do it myself.
No, but basically, the idea of being able to like take care of it yourself is awfully appealing.
Well, and the thing with the road racing, sometimes you do have a high speed slide that wasn't a big crash really. It's just a big slide. the leather garment may be basically destroyed. But if the airbag's all built into it, it's kind of it all goes together when it goes, right?
Yeah, so our airbags they're removable.
Yeah.
It's actually the Tech Air 7X is the one that you're able to zip into the into the leather suits now. And that's all just for user being comfortable, right? You can put it behind the liner, so you don't have to like kind of fidget with that. It's nice, comfortable, feels like one piece, but you are able to zip it in and out. The first systems that we brought to market back in 2015 was a little bit more integrated, and you had to plug it in. You had the LED light up on
Yeah, that's the suit my wife has the 3
Yeah,
sleeve. Yeah, she has an airbag suit and I don't. She doesn't even hardly ride on the track.
And those are still great systems. Like I said, we still have people out there using them and loving them. And we still update the algorithm on that one as well.
Yeah. And I mean, I love the Dionysus suit I've had. It's been through a bunch of crashes and worked really well. It's not like a knock on them. It's just, I love the idea of this. It's its own garment, its own piece of safety gear that you can replace or reuse as you need to. I think that's a clever way to do it.
I have these really old, it's an old Vanson leather jacket. It's got to be 20 years old, and I love the thing. But I don't ever wear it on the motorcycle because it was in an era long before even armor. So the idea of airbag technology that I could potentially take like some old, there's plenty of abrasion protection there, to be able to wear something old and vintage and cool without compromising any safety. In fact, probably enhancing the safety.
Yeah. Yeah. Essentially, you can wear our airbag systems under any garment.
That's crazy cool. Now, I know a lot of guys who do just track days or not really racing, and they wear the external ones with the tether. Is there an advantage to that versus them being built into the suit, or how does that play?
No, so the advantage to Tech Air specifically is that you're not relying on anything else to tell you when to deploy, because like a tether, it doesn't know to go off until it's been pulled, right? Our systems with all the triaxial sensors in it know the exact moment, so it will go off and protect you much, much more quickly, so that it will deploy before you have the impact. Because sometimes, with a tether, you're on the bike and you go down, you haven't pulled the tether, right? Versus the Tech Air system is going to be able to detect exactly when you're about to go down and deploy before you hit the ground.
Well, my friend specifically, he got off the motorcycle and forgot to unhook the tether and walked away.
That'll set it off.
Deployed it, and he's like, "Well, now I don't have any airbag protection."
Yeah.
Well, and it was specifically embarrassing because I think it happened because he parked the bike and was throwing his leg off the bike, and the leg is what snagged the tether.
That's right. That's exactly what happened.
And he's like tangled in a tether. It's deployed. He's on the ground. It's the whole bit. Yeah.
Yeah. So ours is smart enough to know the difference and understand what's going on and when it should and shouldn't go off.
Yeah. I think that the external one, I think, is appealing to some riders because they like the idea of like, oh, I've already invested in a jacket. I don't want to have to go buy another jacket.
Yeah.
Can I just throw something over the top of it that's safer?
Yeah, so we have a version of, it's our Tech Air 3. That's a vest that you can put over anything or under anything. It's it's another great Tech Air offering that we have, because it provides that diversity where if you don't want to wear it under, you can wear it over. And we have some that are another version of the Tech Air 3 that's actually has the airbag integrated into a leather vest. If you like,
you showed us those. I thought those were. It's not really our thing, but I love that. Like reaching out to the cruiser world, that you don't have to look. You don't have to wear a leather romper.
Yeah.
You can still wear a leather vest like you like to.
Yeah, and you never know looking at it that it actually has the airbag technology integrated into it. And there's canvas versions of it.
Yeah, it looked like a Carhartt vest, right? Yeah. Which was awesome.
Mm-hmm. But you have the Tech airbag in there.
And with these ones, the vest specifically, is it... Because my understanding with the airbags is it's mostly designed to be like a spinal protection system, primarily at least, right? It's around like the neck and the collar and so forth down the spine. Is that typically like that's the primary focus of them, right? I know they're beyond that.
The chest as well. We have coverage across the chest.
Remember, everybody was like the chest protectors. Like I have a really, really old Alpinestars jacket that I love. That's all mesh on the chest and leather on the arms and everywhere else. But it was just full of chest protectors, and I like to wear it because it makes me look buff. but like the airbag stuff, like it kind of mitigates. You don't need to necessarily have all those other pieces in the jacket, so it gets a little slimmer. Yes.
Yeah. Typically, I mean, especially with as long as the airbag is covering that piece of the body, you could remove the armor. So like the shoulders, you could take them out. The chest, you still have the airbag coverage across the chest there. And then the back, like the plasma still has the passive protector in it, so you don't need the passive protector in your jacket as well.
That's nice. Yeah,
because spine protectors are not comfortable.
Yeah.
Another cool note about some of our systems, like the Tech Air Off-Road here, has 2 canisters built into it. So if you're out riding in the desert or off-road, what have you, and you have a deployment, you have a crash and it deploys, you could get right back up. It'll deflate within 45 seconds. Get on your bike. The system knows that it has a second canister in it ready to go, and it'll still be armed, and you can continue to ride.
I might be mistaken. Do the MotoGP guys' suits have a similar setup where they can have more than one deployment in the suit?
I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
I've been out of the racing side of the company
that's
for
fine.
quite a bit, but I'm not sure about the answer to that. But the Tech Air 7X, the one that's designed to zip into the leather suit, does have 2 deployments as well.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Because I think that would always be one of the concerns is like,
You're in qualifying, you fall during the first lap of qualifying.
Yeah.
You don't have time to change your suit. You have 15 minutes.
And that's the idea in developing
Yeah.
the 7X with having 2 deployments.
well, because as a club rider, I don't have multiple airbag suits just waiting for me.
Right, especially yours, where you can't
Yeah.
recharge it. It's like you send it back, your weekend's over.
Well, and that's like I've gotten so attached now to having an airbag suit, like going out without one feels naked, you know? So it's like, oh, I don't want to race without an airbag.
I feel the same way commuting. Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't buy a car without an airbag now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like so why would you buy gear without that? You know, I feel the same way about helmets, and maybe we should start talking about your helmets too, is that it's one thing I'm just not going to compromise on. It's my brain. And if I can buy the thing with more protection, why wouldn't I?
Yeah. Right.
Especially like in the case of airbag, where not only is it providing more comfort or more protection, it's providing more comfort, which is, it's thinner, it's lighter, it's all the things. Like armor is not super comfortable. We were talking, spine protectors are miserable, you know?
Yeah. And comparing like helmets to the airbag system, they're about the same price for a good helmet, you know, the airbag system. And helmets are a one and done. You crash in the helmet, you should replace that helmet.
We need to tell more club racers that.
Yeah, versus the airbag, like I said, you can replace the canisters yourself and continue to use it.
So speaking of the helmets, we had a conversation a while ago on the podcast where we talked a lot about different helmet standards, right? So there's DOT, which is basically bare minimum.
Which is it's a self standard. So like I think DOT doesn't even count.
Yeah, there's Snell, ECE. There's a handful of other British, Japan. They all have
Right. You have the Sharp system, BCI, Snell, ECE. You probably know them all, right? Because you guys are now making helmets that are like winning awards, your helmets.
Oh yeah, the 2024 MotoGP champion was wearing our SR10 helmet. Yeah.
And that's and the interesting thing with that one is it's a carbon shell, but it's the FIM standard. And so that's like the new primo one, and that's what like both Dave and I
want the FIM standard.
FIM helmets.
Yeah.
Basically, as soon as there's and if something replaces the FIM, I'll go buy that helmet.
It's my brain.
Yeah.
Right.
It was hard to learn to tie my shoes the first time. I don't want to have to do that again.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Can you share a little bit about what was it like, or why did Alpinestars even decide to go down this route of even developing a helmet like this?
Yeah, we are a protection company, and your brain is something you should absolutely be protecting. So it was kind of natural for Alpinestars to get into the helmet category. We provided the highest level of protection on our feet, on our bodies. So on our heads was the next standard, or the next avenue, of course. And we put a lot of R&D, a lot of investment into developing the safest and still yet lightweight and comfortable helmet. If you go over to our Italian R&D office, you'll see we're talking about all these safety ratings and, you know, the drop tests, the simulators and all that. We actually have all of that equipment in-house. So we're able to test the materials and test the helmets as we please, as many times as we please, so that we're being sure to develop, you know, the highest level of safety and still making it comfortable to wear, because you want it to be comfortable to go out and enjoy your ride. So being lightweight, bringing a lot of airflow too was another big thing going into our helmets. So it was the first thing I noticed when we came out with the SM10, the off-road helmet. I put it on and I was riding on the track, and it felt like I had a little fan going on up top there. There's so much airflow coming through, and then of course the exhaust systems too. But so it's kind of a natural thing for Alpine Alpinestars to get into helmets, being a protection company.
It's a hard game to get into because you're going up against like Arai, who's been doing it probably longer than anybody else. And to get into that game and to, they have so much data to work with. How did you guys approach getting into the helmet game and being competitive so fast?
Well, of course, utilizing the athletes that we work with, taking their feedback in what they like, what works, what doesn't work, and then taking all of that and then going in and again investing in the best equipment, the best engineers really to come in and make the designs and make sure that it is the most effective in levels of protection, because we don't want to bring something to the market that's going to be subpar, honestly. And that's why we go through the lengths that we do to ensure that it is providing the highest level of safety.
I know obviously I know this helmet. Do you guys make multiple lines, like multiple levels of helmet as well, or is it just this one for the road?
So for the road, right now it is the SR10,
Okay.
And that is the fully carbon fiber shell. So we are actually going to be introducing an SR7 helmet to the market. The AIM show just got a little sneak peek of it, but you can see another variation of the helmet coming to the market, and that one will actually also have communication systems. You can have it either integrated into the helmet, or you can put your own communication system. So it'll have the cutout for the ears, so you can put the speakers in.
I like that we're getting a world exclusive here about it.
I know. Well, I
Yeah.
want to ask, so the kind of helmet that I hope you guys make is, I love my old Arai XD4. They don't make that helmet anymore. Do you guys have plans? Because I've worn your off-road helmet, the M7. That thing is incredible. Are you going to make like a touring version with the peak? And I love having a peak for touring.
You might see that from Alpinestars.
Ooh,
in the
it kind of
future here,
we
yeah.
would like, we're just like, let it go back and tell them that, Canyon Chasers would like to see.
Two guys in a garage would
like to see an M7 with a visor.
Yeah, it's very possible that you may see that.
Oh,
from
that's
Alpinestars.
exciting.
Yes,
Cool.
absolutely.
Speaking of the SR10, I've had a chance to ride one of these on the track. The things that you mentioned, the ventilation, I've ridden AGV Pistas, like their top end FIM helmet a bunch. I've ridden Shoeies, I've ridden Arise and other helmets. That one is without a doubt the most ventilating helmet I've ever worn. It almost feels like cold on the top of your head from how much air comes in. The other thing I really like about it is the visor height. That's for me on the track anyway, that's the number one thing
Visibility
I care about.
is extremely important. Absolutely. Yeah.
There's other helmets I cannot wear on the track because either the back is too low, I have a short neck and I can't look up high enough, or the visor, I feel like I'm looking through a porthole, right?
Yeah.
So like to have that big window
Yeah.
makes all the difference.
Yeah, absolutely. It was definitely a key factor for us in consideration of developing the helmet is visibility. Same thing with the SM10, the off-road helmet, having that wide out eye port so you're not limiting that visibility was very important. So definitely a key that we made sure to hit on.
There's one other thing so with Alpinestars now, you literally cover the rider from head to toe, every single piece about it. I've noticed now more and more as these garments and everything's getting more and more technical and specific, there's designs, for example, like these gloves work with this sleeve really well, or these boots are compatible with these pant legs really well, things like that. So it's kind of this whole ecosystem of gear. Is that something that, does a brand like Alpinestars, when you're to get as technical and as specific as you are, do you sort of rely on that the rider, hey, this is going to work because they're going to buy the whole kit together and that's why it's all going to work? Or is it a consideration of like, not everyone builds sleeves the way we do, so we have to be flexible with how we do our gloves, things like that.
Yeah. I mean, that's why there's options.
Okay.
There's different levels of creating a cohesive piece within our products, of course. But then there's also other pieces that can be a bit more universal. Yeah.
Well, I'm a dork because, again, from racing, like if you're wearing an Alpinestar suit, you're going to wear Alpinestar boots and you're going to wear Alpinestar gloves. Like it's inappropriate to cross-pollinate your gear. You don't look right if you're wearing like this company's gloves and that company's boots, right? Like doesn't everybody think that way?
Well, and it seems to me that a lot of the smaller brands they'll make a suit, they might make their own gloves, but they oftentimes won't make their own boot. So I see lots of Moto2, Moto3 riders especially that'll wear like Alpinestars boots with whatever brand of other stuff they wear.
Even back in the day with MotoGP, like a lot of guys are wearing the Alpinestar suits, but they would typically be wearing like an Arai helmet
Yeah.
would be typically paired with the Alpinestar suit. So did you guys work with other companies? Was there a partnership there, or was that just totally on the racers?
I mean, racing, they're able to make, deals as they please, of course. But I think it's something that is important to point out as far as working with other like leather suit companies. We do work with other leather suit companies incorporating the Tech Air technology too. So I know Mythos was one that we worked with, RST as well, where you could buy those leather suits and have the Tech Air zipped into the suit. It was compatible. It was Tech Air compatible garments with other companies. And again, that's just so that we're not, at the end of the day, it benefits the consumer to have access to this protection. So that's why we do it and go about that way. But yeah, racing's kind of its whole other segment, whole other business. They're able to, especially guys at the highest level, they're able to negotiate their contracts with different sponsors and everything like that. But of course, like Hunter Lawrence and Jet Lawrence, we have those guys head to toe.
Well, it seems like now, like all of your racers in MotoGP are head to toe. I don't think any of them are not wearing your helmet now.
And that's honestly because our product is proven to provide the highest level of safety. That's become our standard.
I love it.
And again, it's the same level of protection that we're offering to the consumers too.
Yep.
So there was a study done it's probably 20 years ago now, and I'm guessing it's still relevant, but it's going to lead me into the next question. And this study, they basically looked at how little trauma results in permanent injury, right? And then they ranked motorcycle gear on priority based on that criteria, right? So for example, it only takes like 8 pounds to pull your pinky off of your hand, right? And you guys were the very first company to stitch the two fingers together, right? But they ranked, helmet was the most important, obviously. Number 2 was gloves, right? That makes sense. Doesn't take much trauma to hurt your hand. But number 3, and this surprised a lot of people, is boots. And my understanding is Alpinestars basically started with boots. Do you want to talk about some of the technology that's going into your boots? Because I see a lot of kids out there wearing $1,000 helmets and sneakers, right? And so let's talk about footwear for a minute.
Yeah, we started as actually Alpinestars was initially an alpine boot. So cold weather hiking and skiing. And then it was the passion of the owner that got into motorcycling. And from the very beginning, it was, if we're going to get into this, we're going to be the best at it and provide the best protection and make that a priority because it's genuinely the passion behind the brand. And the owner passed that on to his son, who's the current owner and of the brand, and again is also the one going out and testing the product himself. But boots were a major, just the start of the company as far as in the motorcycle world, and then it grew into to leathers and then, like you said, the gloves and going from leathers for racing to everyday wear, and then of course now auto suits as well, and the fire suits protecting all the NASCAR racers at Formula One, IndyCar racers. So it's incredible the amount of growth. The company was founded in 1963, and here we are in 2025, head to toe. And
2026 now.
2026. That's
right.
right.
You got to write the check.
Goodness, yeah. Wow. But yeah, so it's come a long way. And again, the reason why the brand has been so successful in that is just a genuine love for motorcycling and providing the proper safety equipment so that we can continue to do it every day, right? We love to do it. We want to be able to wake up the next day and the next day and the next day to go out and ride. And to be able to do that, we got to be protected properly.
I have a little anecdotal story to talk about with the Alpinestars boots. So I've had pairs of Alpinestars boots several times, but I had the SuperTech R's for a while that I raced in.
Mine are sitting right over there.
Yeah.
I don't think they even make motorcycle gear anymore, but for a few years, Puma tried making boots.
Oh, those boots. I had a pair of those boots.
And they were really popular because they looked cool. They looked like moon boots, basically. They're really spacey looking. Anyway, one of the guys from the Puma thing, like they basically offered to give me a pair of boots to go racing with. I thought, well, that's great. I love getting free stuff. Anyway, I had the Alpinestars boots at the time, but they gave me the Puma boots. I swear to you, they were 3 times as heavy.
Oh, they were so heavy, and they didn't have much articulation.
No, they had this hinge system. Anyway, the point of them,
so hard to shift.
They were so heavy that's what freaked me out. I never actually raced in them because I was so paranoid about the idea of like, if I crash and I'm tumbling, now I've got these like 4-pound weights attached to my ankles. All the cranking on my knee and hips and stuff, I was freaked out by them. So I never would race in them. But the Alpinestars ones were so lightweight, but still had the ankle hinge support and all that. That I was like, I feel way safer in these, you know, just from that, you know, not even just from the impact of hitting my foot on the ground, but the tumble of not having the weight on my foot.
Yeah, so. And it comes down to just the hours and hours and hours of R&D that we have into these products, wearing them in real motorcycle conditions and being able to develop them that way. It's definitely hard for. I know Nike tried to make motocross boots too for a couple of years, and they realized it costs too much in the R&D to really be effective in it, and we're willing to go that extra mile to provide, you know, the best product that there can be.
Well, when those SuperTech Rs came out, they were pretty unique because they have the booty as opposed, like all the armor is actually inside the boot, so it makes the boot, you feel like you're wearing a sneaker. Yeah, they're quite comfortable.
Yeah, and again, that just comes down to the innovation of a true motorcycle passion. And wanting to see what works and what will work better. And even now we're updating the boots too. We're finding new ways to make it more protective and still comfortable. So it's really cool. Like the bridge that we have going across the top of the Tech 10s is now actually incorporated into the Tech 7.
Do you have any data on what part of the foot gets hurt?
I can't pull numbers off the top of my head for you, but for sure it's going to be, that's why we have the TPU in the sole, is when you're coming down and it's your ankles kind of taking that absorption. So that's why we designed the TPU in the footbed the way that we did, so that it absorbs that energy, similar to how the Tech Air absorbs the energy of an impact. The same thing's happening on the bottom of your foot. So the material, the TPU that is in there, is developed specifically for that, and it's a very common thing. And again, I know you're coming from like the road racing side, and
well, we both ride dirt too, so
yeah, for sure. But I don't have like a number I could throw off to you right now, but
because it seems like, just looking at the boot, I'm just going to hit this a little hard, just because I see so many people not wearing footwear, that if you look at any street boot or off-road boot or whatever, it's not necessarily around your toes where the armor is. It's around your heel and your ankle, right? And I do know that in crash data, foot injuries are more common than head injuries, right? Because your feet they're pretty exposed. And so that's why I was kind of asking if you knew where, like, if you had any data on it or anything like that.
Not numbers, but it's for sure why all of our, even our we call it urban contemporary line, they look like just sneakers, but they all have the ankle disc protection integrated into them, to where it still looks cool. You're not sacrificing fashion or style of it, but you're also not sacrificing the protection of it, because definitely the ankle and the heel are the most commonly injured in crashes when it comes to your feet.
All right, so everybody at home, on your ankle, those little bones on the side of your ankle, those are called your lateral and medial malleolus, right? These little bumps. I want you to go reach down and touch it right now, okay? Now imagine tapping it with a hammer, right? So that's kind of how important this is, right? Like, they are very exposed. And a kind of important thing for walking. We really appreciate you making the drive. It's a long drive.
I was actually hoping to ride a bike out here, but it was a little cold.
It is a little cold. I think it's like barely above freezing today.
Yeah. But no, I appreciate you guys having me out. It's definitely been a pleasure, and we should go ride soon.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely, because it's all about riding the motorcycles, those two-wheel things. They're awfully fun.
Great. Well, thanks for coming out today.
Thank you so much. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions for Danielle, put them in the comments. She said she's watching the podcast, so you might get a response from her. So again, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.